Thanks,
Deputy Adams.
The Bus Éireann strike on Taoiseach is in its 20th day, and I'm sure you're well aware of that. The talks at the Workplace Relations Commission collapsed yesterday, and following that, the unions and management referred a number of issues to the Labour Court for non-binding arbitration. The Court heard that those issues yesterday, and talks resumed again this morning. However, it is clear from the emerging speculation around a possible outline deal that any agreement that might emerge could see significant job losses within Bus Éireann. It would also seriously undermine Bus Éireann's ability to provide an essential public transport service to communities and towns right across the entire state. And the Government's refusal to engage constructively in the dispute has contributed significantly to the duration and the impact on the travelling public, Taoiseach. And the reality is that the financial crisis within Bus Éireann that has been exacerbated because of the refusal of the key stakeholders, including the Department of Transport, the NTA, the Minister for Transport, Shane Ross, to protect an essential public service. Rural Ireland has been brought to a complete standstill, Taoiseach. Local businesses are being starved of their customers because many people are unable to get to town centres and retail areas, and the Government stance reflects the lack of priority given to rural Ireland. So, Taoiseach, what are you doing, and what is your Government doing to bring this strike to an end, and what are you doing to ensure that the financial crisis within Bus Éireann is addressed?
Thank you, Deputy.
Deputy Brady mentioned the question of the Labour Court. Also, it's not for me to comment on their independent way of hopefully bringing about a resolution here. Things are not at a standstill in rural Ireland. I pass through large swathes of it every week. The Government is actually expanding the public bus service in rural Ireland by increasing the amount of public service obligation monies pumped in there, and the funding to Bus Éireann, and increasing the funding to the rural transport programme as well. Bus Éireann got a 21% increase in their PSO funding in 2016. Total funding for both PSO and for rural transport will amount to approximately €277 million this year, which is a substantial amount of money. That's a 28 million increase over last year. Can the Government subsidise the expressway routes? No. They are commercial services and they operate in competition with other commercial services. And as with any other commercial operator, Bus Éireann cannot receive taxpayer funding for those commercial services. Taxpayer support is available for public service obligation services, and Bus Éireann receives taxpayer funding for those that are socially necessary but financially unviable services that form part of its legally contracted PSO network with the National Transport Authority. I'm sure Deputy Brady understands that.
Was Deputy Adams, Deputy Brady.
I want to welcome the agreement between Vertex and the HSE that we got positive news on yesterday to provide Orkambi and Kaleidoco for sufferers of CF, and I know it has been broadly welcomed, and it comes in a week where it's also the National Awareness Week for Cystic Fibrosis. So I want to commend Cystic Fibrosis Ireland and all the families and their supporters for their persistence in campaigning on this issue over a considerable period of time. However, the crisis around CF therapies is also evidence of the wider crisis in our health service. 2 weeks ago, Dr Tom Keane, former director of the state's Cancer Control Programme, said if any other country had the kind of problems found in the Irish Health Service, the government would not survive. He described the health service as being close to total systems failure and called for the delivery of healthcare to change before there is what he described as a profoundly negative impact on people dependent on the public system. The Towards 2026 report argues for greater accountability, clarity on funding, better leadership and stronger political support. The Government has failed, and failed dismally on all of these fronts. This week we learned that there are 82 unfilled posts across community mental health services that cater for children and adolescents with severe mental health disorders, including suicidal youngsters. And this is a damning indictment of the government. And I just ask the question, what measures will the government take to address this matter urgently?
Deputy Brady mentioned about Dr. Kane, and obviously he did his job here with the cancer centres of excellence and so on. And that was a very difficult issue in many hospitals. But I don't agree with you that this is anything like a total systems failure. I agree with him that there's a total systems failure. The vast majority of people that you meet who have gone through the public health system have nothing but credit and praise for those who work in that system, in many cases under pressure. So there is a 14.6 billion, up $1 billion and last year, allocated for 2017. But you can see how issues can intervene in that, in the Orkambi Deco thing. So the problem is to get inside the system in a way that's efficient and realistic for people. So that's why you've had pressure in emergency departments. That's why in Wexford, for instance, the layout and the construction of the new emergency department has greatly eased that pressure that used to apply in Wexford Hospital.